on the line with us, this is something we kind of have a rule here that we don't have candidates for office on before primaries. And every time I've turned down somebody, and it happens a lot, what I've said is I only do this with candidates that I personally know. I would only put on somebody before a primary with somebody that is like where I live. And this is where I live. And my congressman is Earl Blumenauer, and he's resigning or retiring. And there is a wild primary going on here in the Portland area to replace him. And Susheela Jayapal, who is the sister of Pramila Jayapal, who's a regular on this. In fact, she was on our program for a whole hour on Monday, is a former Multnomah County commissioner. That's the county that Portland's in, an economics major at Swarthmore College, has a law degree from the University of Chicago. Her website is Susheela for Congress, Susheela for FOR Congress.com, and Susheela Jayapal on Twitter. And just wild stuff going on in this with a lot of money coming in from outside. According to TheIntercept.com, Ryan Grimm, AIPAC has stepped into this in a big way. Now, we've seen this before. We saw this with Summer Lee. We've seen it with other members. She succeeded. Jamal Bowman apparently is being attacked by, with these dark money front groups that are being funded by AIPAC. And we're just overwhelmed with ads here attacking Susheela Jayapal. Every single day I get a new thing in the mail. So I wanted to get her on and hear from her what her plans are for if she becomes my congressperson. So Susheela Jayapal, welcome to the program. I'm so glad you could show up.
So good to be here. Thank you, Tom.
So tell us about your candidacy.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I have been a lawyer here in Portland in the metro area and in this district. I've been a county commissioner, and I'm running for Congress because both at the local level and at the national level, we are seeing such a pivot point for the country. When I'm talking about local issues, homelessness is top of mind for folks. On the national level, we're talking about attacks on our democracy, which you bring to light on your show all the time, attacks on our civil rights, and attacks on things like Social Security and Medicare that affect the lives of everyday Oregonians and everyday Americans. So I am running to take my progressive values to Congress, and that means to fight for a just economy. It means to fight for a Green New Deal and a just transition away from fossil fuels. It means to fight for Medicare for all and to fight for everyday Oregonians and create the framework in which they can live good, thriving, meaningful lives here.
Now, you have called for Israel to have essentially a ceasefire with regard to Gaza, and apparently this is what drew the wrath of the American Israel Political Action Committee, AIPAC. When did you learn that this money tsunami was coming to? Because I think everybody just assumed that you were going to be the nominee, but it's getting wild out there.
It is getting wild. We have known for some time that AIPAC was likely to enter. I first called for a ceasefire back in November. I have renewed that call. I've also said that I believe we should stop providing offensive military aid to Israel. And I think this is a foreign policy issue that is absolutely related to the domestic policy issues that we're all contending with on the ground. So we've anticipated that AIPAC would come in. I think, Tom, what has been astonishing has been the level at which they've entered this race, right? And The Intercept, Ryan Grimm has reported on this. Others have as well. To date, and we don't have all of the reporting because of the way that the reporting rules work, but to date, we estimate more than $5 million in independent expenditures, both supporting the candidacy of Maxine Dexter and attacking me. And on those attack ads that you mentioned, at least $2.7 million in attack ads. And then on top of those amounts, at least about another $1 million in direct bundled contributions from AIPAC donors to Maxine Dexter's campaign. And to put this in context, AIPAC's spending in the Dave Min race in California was about $4 million. So they are spending more in a smaller, less expensive market against me than they did in that race.
Yeah, I mean, the population of Portland is less than 1 million. I mean, this is a relatively small market to just overwhelm like that.
That's right. Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly where to go from there. I mean, this is just a tough one. How do you rebut that kind of thing? The things I've been seeing being said about you, I know that many of them are just outright distortions. I mean, they're basically taking the record of the county commission that you were on and blaming you for everything that went wrong with regard to the county commission as if it was all your fault. And obviously it's not. So how do you respond to these things?
Yeah, a couple of things, Tom. First of all, they're actually taking 4 decades of what has led to the crises in Portland and blaming them on me. So I'll just start with that.
Right.
And I think a couple of the other things to point out about this level of spending and where it's coming from, it is coming obviously from AIPAC. They've been very strategic. They have spent the bulk of their money, especially that attack ad money, starting on April 1st, so that our voters aren't going to know where it's coming from until May 20th, because that's when they have to report. And that is the day right before the election. So really being very strategic about spending it in a way that hides where it's coming from. The direct support that they have sent to Maxine Dexter's campaign, I think, is also noteworthy. We haven't been able to analyze all of the donors yet, but the majority of them donate to far-right Republicans like Donald Trump, directly to Donald Trump, like Speaker McCarthy, like Speaker Johnson, like Ted Cruz. So that is the source of the money. And our approach is to just shine a light on that and to say, here is where these attack ads are coming from. Here is who's funding them. And there is a fundamental contradiction between professing progressive values and taking that level of funding from sources that are actually attacking those progressive values, be it reproductive rights, be it LGBTQ rights, be it a fair economy. Taking funding at this level from sources who are attacking those progressive values is a fundamental contradiction. And we believe that when we shine a light on this, the voters in this district will not like what's happening here.
Yeah. Louise and I have already voted. I mean, this is a vote by mail state entirely. And we got our ballots a week ago and we filled them out. I voted for you. Louise voted for you. If you're looking for an endorsement, I heartily give it to you.
Thank you.
But has the local media picked this aspect of the story up at all? Apologies. I don't watch local television, so I'm not in touch with the local media at all. I mean, I read the Oregonian, but and they did have an article that kind of mentioned this yesterday, but it was kind of tacked in the very end of the article.
Yeah, they've been slow to take it up. We have been calling this out for a while. I actually went out with a video, I think it was probably 6 weeks ago, saying we think this is coming. I did a press conference a few weeks ago saying it's here. We've continued to shine a light on it. They have been slow to pick up on it. And the Oregonian has started reporting on it recently. But, I'll give an example of one of the things that's happened. They published an article, I think it was about a week ago, that had in its headline, AIPAC and Republican donors supporting Dexter's campaign, or words to that effect. And then they altered that article to take Republican out. So the local media has been slow to pick up on it. But then, again, Tom, I really believe, and we're seeing this at the doors. I have been out canvassing for the last many weeks. And what I am experiencing at the doors is people coming to me and saying, hey, I just got this mailer. What is this? Right. And when I talk to them, explain who is funding the mailer, they are with me. And I will say that, I think the voters were with me to begin with in terms of my own fundraising. Before this flood of money came in, I had almost doubled, my personal fundraising had almost doubled what Maxine had raised. So I think that voters, again, once they know what's happening, we are confident that they will line up.
And finally, this is not just an Oregon or even a Portland story. This is happening nationally. They tried to take down Summer Lee. They're trying to take down Jamal Bowman. They actually succeeded in taking down another candidate just a day or three ago. I'm forgetting who it was. They're going after Cori Bush right now in St. Louis. This is and this is a political action committee that's associated with a foreign government. I'm boggled by it, Susheela. hopefully we can. I don't. What can anybody do about this over the long term? Is this? It seems to me like, if nothing else, this is a clarion call to blow up Citizens United.
Absolutely. I mean, people ask me what my goals are, why I'm running, and strengthening our democracy is absolutely one of my top priorities. And I think the role of money in politics is one of the most destructive elements in our democracy right now. And this is a classic example. And what you say is right, Tom. This isn't the only example. They're doing this around the country, and it's layers upon layers of problematic. It is the volume of money in politics. It is where the money is coming from. It is the fact that there are millionaires who are donating enormous amounts. In this race, we've heard one donor gave $500,000, another donor gave $900,000. Wow. This is an exemplar of the role of money in politics. Absolutely need to get rid of Citizens United and then address a whole host of other Supreme Court decisions that followed on Citizens United that made this possible, including we should not have the ability to give unlimited amounts of money to any campaign. Yeah. And that's what's happening here right now. Amen.
And we need to just do away with these political action committees. Susheela Jayapal, Susheela, Susheela for Congress, FOR Congress.com is the website. Susheela Jayapal is the Twitter handle. Susheela Jayapal, good luck. Thank you so much for dropping by.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be back with more of the news of the day and your calls in just a moment. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archives.
It's 46 minutes past the hour. I'll be right back with your calls.